Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray and I'm a Breatharian Level 3 guide. Today I'd like to talk about why controlling your desires is so important in life. And I want to give you some examples. Let's take Hollywood or celebrities, for example. The highest divorce rate, the highest suicide rate, the highest level of dissatisfaction belongs to people that have a high income, millionaires if you would say, people who are very famous, for example. You have some examples like Robin Williams and other people who committed suicide even because they literally said, I feel so lonely. I have no friends. Now we look at them and we think that when we get to that level, of course, we'll know, but that's not true. That's not true. Having actually is the opposite of enjoyment. The more you have, the more you attach yourself and desire more. And then you introduce yourself as that thing, I know quite a lot of people who are multi-millionaires, very successful individuals, but when they begin a conversation, in the first 5 minutes, they're not going to talk about their kids or about their habits or about enjoying sport and stuff like that. They're going to talk about their success. They're going to have to squeeze it into the conversation. So when we're talking about desiring something, we want it. And this includes money, this includes sex in a negative way, and it also includes food, which a lot of people think that it's okay to desire it in such an exponential type of energy that we're hungry, I have to eat, So when you deal with the desire, and in the Old Testament, there's a saying that the desire of the tongue, the desire for taste, when you overcome that, you have achieved spiritual mastery. Because such a small thing can really control human beings. And back in that time, they didn't have a lot. They really didn't have a lot. So that says a lot. Today we have more. If you look as an example to the United States as a country, and you can see how many people are obese, just because of the accessibility and the comfort. Now think about it. We know that we want to be comfortable, and yet that comfort eventually controls us. So we don't want to be that comfortable. We want to be in a place that is somewhere just beyond our comfort zone. Not too far away and not too much inside of it, because we know that we're miserable when we're inside of it. We know that we're not really growing when we're inside of it. Oh my God. The mosquitoes here are killing me. So what can we do about that? We have to learn how to slowly control our desire, to recognize the desire, to learn how to say no and cope with it. Not in a way that afterwards we have to complete that thing that we lacked, Like we didn't get it, so now we have to get it twice as much, like many people do when they try to have a different diet. But know your desires. And then slowly learn to say no. And that doesn't mean no all the time. But when you learn to say no, what you're actually doing is you are limiting yourself. And that limitation, even though it sounds bad, but the limitation is a positive thing. When the soul incarnated into a body of a human being in a certain region, in a certain sex, in a certain time, it limited its full potential. When you get married, you limit yourself, but in a positive way, because you want to dive in with one person. You want to learn more. You have to cope. You can't run away. I was polyamoric for many, many years, and I can tell you, I cannot run away. I have to deal with marriage issues. And that's good, because you learn from it. You grow from it. So the more we limit ourselves, the more things that we're actually learning. It's just like a tree. The deeper the roots, the higher the tree can grow. The lower the roots, the tree will not survive the storm. And you can see this quite a lot. So recognize the desires that you have in life and understand that these desires are not obstacles, but they are lessons to be controlled so we can be free from things that control us. Desiring too much, wanting too much. I'm not talking about, a lot of people think that it's about materialism and materialism is bad. I don't see it that way. Materialism is not bad. The story here is one unit of a story. It is union between spirituality and materialism and balancing them. And we have many spiritual people that instead of recognizing that other people need help, they just use that being famous and having money to grow by themselves, and they don't help other people. And I've met many celebrities, many influencers, for example, that come to learn breatharianism with me. And what I recognize is that they gave into that materialistic type of lifestyle instead of being out there and minimalizing. It doesn't mean that you don't have, it doesn't mean that you don't want. It's okay to want, but it's also okay to let go. It's also okay to give more. And when you give more, you receive more. So think about that when you're dealing with your day-to-day, because your desire is not just food, it's your aspiration. Your aspiration can be your motivation. But then what happens when you don't get that? When you have high expectations and you don't reach those expectations, you create fear and doubt. And that fear and doubt lowers your vibration. And when it lowers your vibration, there's like a domino effect that happens in your life. Suddenly, instead of being on the roll, you're quite the opposite. And things break down, relationships break down, your job breaks down, things in your life. But when you do the opposite, when you deal with yourself, when you challenge yourself, when you think outside of the box, when you see the challenges of going outside of your comfort zone, that's when you mature. And when you stop doing that, you get bored. And you forget about the fact that you are here to learn and to grow and to enjoy life with all the pressures that it gives you. Because sometimes you just forget. And then you go to YouTube and you see people like me, and we're talking about that stuff and we remind you, and then you make promises to yourself that you sometimes forget to keep. So think about that. Be motivated. Continue doing the things that give you pleasure and get that ball rolling. But I have to tell you, for me at least, this happens a lot when I step out of my comfort zone. When I do things that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. When I challenge myself. But I do it consciously. I choose it consciously. I'm aware of it. I know there's a struggle there. I know it's uncomfortable. Lately, I needed to apologize to someone at work, knowing that I did nothing wrong. Maybe it's my ego, who knows? Maybe I really didn't do anything bad. And maybe I did. And yet, I took the challenge. I recognized that I cannot convince myself that I was wrong. And yet, that was the better thing to do for all who were concerned. And I did it. And I felt great afterwards. Humble afterwards. I felt like there's a part of me that was resisting, and that part is now under more control than ever. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm going to do it more often. I guarantee it. So my friends, thank you very much for staying all the way to the end. If you enjoy my videos, like and subscribe. And if you want a life-changing experience with me, join one of my breatharian initiations in United States and Spain. Check it out on Maor.com. Namaste.